All right, so this is our last class. Let's talk about when class starts back up, August 11th. And I'm so excited to hear, Miss Barbara, that you want to sign up again. And I want you to tell me what you were getting ready to say whenever you said it's helping.
And Tai Chi is really helping me. It's helping me with my move around. It helping me with my strengthening my joints. It also helping me with some things I wasn't able to do. I'm able to do now.
Oh, I
And
love that.
I just appreciate Miss Jennifer because I can see a change in my whole body,
Very good.
and and I'm losing. I've been losing weight, but it's like it's helping me more.
Well, thank you for saying that. When you're committed to the program, and you have been, I mean, I was thinking to myself, I don't think you've missed a day, and you haven't. I mean, you have come 20 or 16 sessions. I'm just getting done with bingo size. That's where that 20 comes from. And so when you do stay committed and you do listen and you take it to heart, I mean, it does make a difference. Having that increased body awareness just translates into your whole life in the way you carry yourself and the way you move your body. You don't probably go through life slow, smooth, and continuous, but you're aware of how you move. And because you move slow, smooth, and
And else,
continuous.
also, Miss, it's a mind thing. It's what you want to do. Once you set your mind to what you want to do, you will aiming for it. Aim for. I tell everybody, aim for the Tai Chi. It's gonna help your joints and everything else.
Well, thank you for being a cheerleader for sure for our program and experiencing yourself and encouraging others. I know Sharita feels the same way with the program. It's challenging for our brains to learn new things, and our brains are better for it, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
do you have anything to add, Miss Sharita, to what Miss Barbara is telling us?
No, but yeah, she's right. I remember when I first started, that's exactly. So that's how I got hooked and have signed up over and over and over again. The benefits that I've seen with me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is your sixth go, maybe. Which
Probably.
Sharita takes the Friday class as well. That's the advanced class, and man, we've had some fun in that class with learning part two and practicing it, and just really going deep with those movements. And I'm enjoying it because it's fairly new for me to have a class that wants to learn part two. All right. Well, I haven't heard from Ed and I haven't heard from Miss Iris, so they may be coming in momentarily, but we'll go ahead and get started to be respectful of y'all's time. If there's anything in particular that y'all want to do or go over today, being our last class, y'all please let me know. If not, we'll just start in the same way we always start with our warming up our bodies. Um, we're It's been like a lot cooler in the mornings here this last week and this week, and so when it's cooler outside, we know that we do a little extra to warm up our bodies because our muscles and joints reflect the
Mhm.
temperature. um, in the wintertime, it's just like our bodies don't want to work as well. So morning times we're a little bit more stiff. So I like what Barbara said, is like setting our mind to what we want to do and how powerful our mind can be. And even, there are people that physically can't do something. And so, they could tell their body to do it, but they physically can't. Like if my person that's in his wheelchair, he has no feeling in his legs. He can't move his legs. So, he can't do that. However, and the point I'm getting to is the power of visualization. And so we can imagine that our feet and legs are moving. Imagine that our whole shoulder is moving, even though our shoulder may be a little unky. And we imagine it with our mind, and what's amazing is we get benefits from imagining. So even though there are times when we aren't physically able to do something, we can still imagine it with our minds. Also, in terms of mindset, sometimes we might not feel the best. And so when we don't feel the best, instead of saying, well, I'm not going to do it today, instead of that, then say, I'm going to do it today, but I'm just going to do 5 minutes. So you just do it for 5 minutes. You don't commit to doing it for 30 or an hour or whatever it is. You commit to a small amount of time, and then after that time is over, then you ask yourself, could I do 5 more minutes? And so, yes, it's a mindset. But some days when you don't feel like it, then lower your expectations for yourself, see how you feel, and go back and do some more if you've added that, feel a little bit better to yourself. All right, let's start with our warm-ups. I'm in my stable stance where my feet are about shoulder width or hip width apart. My knees have a slight bend. I'm checking my whole body, making sure I don't have any tension anywhere. I'm breathing. All right, here we go. For our neck, bring our hands up, pull, turn and push, and follow those hands all the way down, chin towards our chest. So we follow our principles even in our warm-up. So sometimes you might not want to practice your whole Tai Chi set of movements. Maybe you just want to do your warm-ups, and that's a full body set of movements. We start with our neck and we go all the way to our ankles. As long as you're following principle, you'll get those benefits. In these first movements, we're not using our lower body, but in our lower body movements, we're shifting weight side to side, front to back. So even in just the warm-ups, we get a good experience. Continue to breathe as you go side to side. For our shoulders, roll our shoulders forward first. And then back. Take your time with that movement. Small circles. Think about drawing the size of a quarter on the sides of my legs. Big shoulder circle. This is a great one to practice breath. I especially like to practice this one seated, so I can just let the chair support me, and I can breathe, and I can think about words of affirmation, breathing in calm, exhaling stress. Enter whatever words that you want to use, filling your body with, or releasing with, gathering and feeling, whatever words of affirmation you need. This is a great movement for that. In Dr. Lamb's Tai Chi for rehabilitation, he uses movement and words of affirmation for healing. And so that's just one example. All right, for our spine, we go to our ball and separate, pushing up and down, stretching that spine. Inhale and then exhale as you separate. Sometimes I can feel my back even pop as I'm stretching it. Not in a bad way, in a good, releasing way. Now let's take our balls side to side. Now moving to our lower body, and if you need to give yourself a little shake, a full body, just get that energy flowing shake before we get to these lower body movements, because up until now we've just held our weight on these two legs as we've done all the upper body. And I don't know what's going on, but my internet keeps popping up. Your internet connection is unstable. So if I'm freezing up, y'all let me know. But that's just weird that it keeps popping up. Y'all let me know if there's a problem. I don't know that I can do anything about it other than let our unstable internet. Let our wonderful administrative assistants know. They know the people to call. Alright, so like I was saying, just give yourself a little shake, because holding your weight on those two legs, it may get a little tiring. So as we move into our lower body warm-ups, it's good sometimes to do all that shaking. Here we go. We're going to do our hip movements where we shift weight to one leg, heel forward, hands back, pause in the middle, and toe back, hands forward. Back like a kickstand, remember. Make sure you have that good posture. You're not leaning into this movement. Anytime we're leaning, we may be going towards falling. Shifting to the other side. Let's do one more. All right, now we're shifting side to side, taking those hands in the direction of that weight shift and then tapping out the foot. This is a movement you can practice with just a chair, skipping the hand movements, holding on to that chair. Practicing weight transfer is really good for developing these muscles. So anybody you know that may be struggling with balance, this is a good exercise for them to do to practice holding weight on one leg. The more able we are to hold ourselves on one leg, the less likely we are to fall. And I think that sounds really dumb to even say, but that's what we do all throughout our Tai Chi, is practice weight on one foot. Because throughout our movements, we do weight transfer. That's one of our principles. We move with an empty step, then the weight transfer, prolonging the weight, holding the weight on one leg. All right, for our knees, we have our loose fist. Our shoulders are relaxed. We shift weight, lift, tap and punch. Bring it back. Shift, lift, tap and punch. Again, all of these lower body movements are good practice or good movements that you can do to help with your lower body strength, and that will increase your prevention of falls risks. Your risk for falls prevention. I think I said those words out of order. But I like for y'all to help people that may not be interested in Tai Chi, because they may not realize just how simple it can be to move in a way to help your body be more balanced. And I'm talking about using a chair and skipping these punches, just the basics of weight transfer. And then of course you move into Tai Chi walking, forward, sideways, shift back, shift forward, like we do in our advanced movements. Now we're going to step out, keeping both feet flat on the floor. I'm going to turn to the side, shift forward and back. Feet together, shift the weight, shift forward and back. So it's really important to keep both feet flat on the floor as you do this movement. Because if I were to lift that heel in the back up, you saw my body, it just kind of pushed forward in a leaning way, and anytime we're leaning, we're going towards falling. And that's why posture is so important. So I'm kind of doing a big review over everything that I've said over the last 4 months, and just refreshing your mind on the different reasons and ways that we move. You know, sometimes there's that tendency to want to look down, but when we look down, we increase our chance of falls. So we want to do our best to keep our head forward, our eyes forward. I like being able to look in that camera to see my posture, my feet. You can look in a mirror. I do Tai Chi in a mirror at the at my Wednesday classes. Both of them have mirrors. All right, now for our ankles. Because sometimes we'll be moving a certain way and not even realizing it. But when we see ourselves in the mirror or on camera or video, it opens our eyes to what we're actually doing. Heel toe, working that ankle. Little toe, big toe. Well, some days our ankles are a little stiff or tense. Just being aware of how our body feels, all of our joints feel. We go through our major joints of our body. I know there's more joints, specifically our fingers, wrists, toes, that we can work on too. That gets stiff, right? Tense and stiff. Probably have a little arthritis in our hands from wear and tear and use. All right, another good shake. I like the swing. Not everybody can do that. It may be taxing on your back to move like an elephant. But just getting that energy going, shake it all out, and get us ready for our Tai Chi movements. So we're going to do our basic 6. Just a quick reminder of our principles. We have movement control. We have body structure and the internal experience of Tai Chi. Under movement control, slow, smooth, continuous, and gentle resistance, as if we're moving through air. Tai Chi is like swimming on earth. You know, the way we move through water, gentle resistance. Under body structure, that's that upright posture. And also the weight transfer, where when we place a foot to step, we place it empty, no weight, then we give it weight. And then the internal experience of Tai Chi, those principles include song, or an open joint where we never lock our joint and it allows the energy to flow through our bodies. Also Jing, Jing, and that is that mental quietness where we just settle into our Tai Chi movements and we just get kind of in our own little world, and it's just nice and relaxing and just a wonderful experience. You get that when you learn your moves. We have learned our moves, we've kind of chiseled them down, we've sandpapered them, they're a lot more smooth than they were the first time. Now we may be able to do them without as much thinking, and that's where that Jing comes in, that mental quietness, just being in the moment, enjoying your Tai Chi. Alright, so let's do our movements, just our basic 6. Remember, our basic 6 is also the seated Tai Chi, and can easily be done seated as well. So here we go, basic 6. And commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. What are things I thought about? Oh gosh, here's Mr. Ed. That's what happens when you turn around, you miss it. Alright. What was something I was thinking about? I was thinking about my armpits. So whenever I had my open and close, were my armpits able to breathe, I call it. Just not closed, but open. My hands are away from me. That was something that I thought about. I also thought I went a little bit fast. And, those are just things about body awareness. And so, slow myself down when I thought maybe I was doing waving hands a little bit too quickly. Welcome in, Ed. Glad you're here. Did you get your t-shirt?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. You're welcome. All right, so again, basic 6. Correcting anything that maybe came to your mind, and if nothing came to mind, it's fine. But that's just something that I noticed about myself, is just making sure that there was space in my armpit and making sure I stayed slow. And that's one thing I like about practicing with the music, because I feel like the music, here's Miss Iris. I feel like the music guides us in a way to be slower. Now this song right here is called Music for Yang Style Tai Chi, and I'm sure it goes with the set of movements with Dr. Lamb. But let's back up and have the specific music for these movements. Just do those basic 6. Alright, here we go. And begin. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. You know what helped me slow down? Thinking about the water. How whenever we move through water, it slows us down. I like your shirt, Miss Iris. It looks good. You're
I had a
welcome.
problem getting in.
Oh no, what happened?
I guess I changed my computer and used the Empowerment House, and then I hadn't changed the internet back. I had to get somebody to get me back on this
Oh,
internet.
well, I'm glad you're here now.
Yes, I
Um,
am.
I always say we love technology in the land of wonderful. And I jest about it because, there's nothing that we can do about it sometimes. And I'm so glad for it because it brought us together. If it wasn't for technology, would not have met each other. So how could I ever be real mad about it? But moving through water, that's what helped me slow down. So sometimes you just got to fix your head and say, okay, this time we're going to move in such a way like it's water, and that keeps me from, pushing through, because I couldn't move through water in a fast way. So let's do it one more time. Do y'all want to do it seated?
Yeah.
Huh? Do what?
I I said, thank you. I'm sitting down.
All right. Let's do it seated. Hold on. I remembered to bring. Oh gosh, I remembered to bring my chair in here.
Right.
I told you we got that new. Oh, we got new carpet, and my chair was missing, and I found it. All right. So, seated Tai Chi is basic 6. If you ever have or see Dr. Lamb's seated Tai Chi video or any kind of, booklet or anything, it is seated. It is the basic 6 movements. That's what the seated Tai Chi is. I'm a little weirded out seeing myself. It's an odd angle. All right. So, how do we involve our legs when we're seated? Well, one thing, we want to sit in our chair, up in our chair a little bit. We want our chair to be in such a way that our legs touch the floor. I'm really short, so there are chairs where my feet don't touch the floor, but this one is a good height. My legs bend pretty much at a 90-degree angle, and I have my feet about hip width apart, just like when we stand up. I'm not on the edge of the chair. I'm not so far that the chair would flip, but I'm not scooted all the way back and just relaxed either. So I want to be in a chair that doesn't have wheels, that is a stable chair, a chair that I can touch the floor. And so I'm here. Now, if you have problems with your back, if you have a weakness in your core, you might want to scoot back to where the chair is, or the back of the chair is supporting you, but you're not relaxed into it. You know the difference? Just so you have it to help support, but you're also trying to use your muscles, because we know when we use them, they get stronger. And that's just the only way. We're not going to magically get our muscles stronger without using them. So that's the thing about the chair. When we do some of our warm-ups seated, I talk about how scoot back to where the chair is supporting the whole top part of your leg, your thigh. That way, whenever you lift your foot, you're doing this and you're doing, say, your knee exercise, then you're just doing that knee joint, versus if you were to sit in the front of your chair and lift your leg, I'm having to use the whole thigh muscle, a lot more of my back and core. So there are some times when you do scoot back just to not have to use that whole muscle, because it puts strains on other places when the point of that movement is simply for your knees. All right, but in our Tai Chi movement, we can not do anything with our legs. We can just have them touch the floor. We have good posture and they're engaged, and we can do commence, open, close. Single whip, I'm going to just push straight out and then follow that hand. Come down, waving hands in clouds. Moving through water. Stay slow, don't get in a hurry. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Remember, there's 6. And back to the center for open and close. Close it out. So I didn't do anything with my legs. They just stayed grounded. I remained with that good posture. There were movements, especially the waving hands in clouds, where I, engaged my core muscles as I turned from side to side. But I didn't do anything with my legs. However, we know muscle engagement helps build that strength that sometimes may be the reason why we're doing seated Tai Chi. Of course, y'all know I hurt my foot, I had to do seated Tai Chi. I pulled a butt muscle, I had to do seated Tai Chi. So there are sometimes a temporary reason why you have to do seated. But pushing these feet into the floor. So just do that. Push the foot into the floor. Release. Push the other foot into the floor. And I just want you to, you can even close your eyes, especially because you're seated, and feel all of those muscles that you're engaging when you push weight into the floor. I mean, I feel a thigh. I feel my glutes. I even feel my back because it's really supporting my posture. I feel the shins in the front bottom part of my legs. I feel, let's see, can I feel my calf a little bit? Maybe a little bit, but mostly my thighs right up here when I push that foot into the floor. And I am in charge of how much pressure I put into the floor. So that is the beginning stages of gaining leg strength if you need that, right? And then I talked about how then you can stand up, hold on to your chair, shift weight from one leg to the other and build yourself up to doing it without a chair. But when we do our seated Tai Chi, we come up and down. When we come down as a standing Tai Chi person, that's when we shift weight to that right foot. So when we're doing it seated, we come up, down, push that right foot into the floor. Release it, and push the left foot into the floor as you go out. Come back and release it as you do open and close. So I kind of mimicked, I mimicked weight transfer when we're standing. To me, if you don't have a lot of practice doing standing Tai Chi, it's hard to do that seated, to replicate weight transfer from a seated position. You may think it's so easy, but this is just my experience. I used to couldn't do that. Shift weight or push a foot into the floor whenever weight would have been shifted as a standing Tai Chi person. So what do I do if I don't want to really pay attention to when I would shift the weight? I can kind of pulse my legs. So I push, release, push, release, push, release. And I just kind of do it as it feels right. As I go through here, I push, release, push, release. I'm just kind of pumping my legs right, then left, right, then left. As I go through open and close, single whip. I'm just barely pushing one foot then the other. So as I'm doing those upper body movements, the whole time my legs are going, dump, release, dump, release, dump, release. Push, release, push, release. It's just like pulsing side to side throughout that movement. That's another way to do leg engagement with Tai Chi movements. Seated Tai Chi movements. So there's you some options. Not engaging muscle at all, just having yourself in this position where your feet are touching the floor. Shifting weight, replication through pushing the foot into the floor and releasing, and then pushing the other foot into the floor when it's time to shift weight to that foot. And then the other is just simply push, release, like a pulsing of your foot throughout the movement. So try something. Let's go through those basic 6 movements. All right, here we go. I'm going to see what naturally happens for me. We got good posture. We're not holding tension anywhere. We're breathing. And commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. I know one thing, it's hard to count to 6 while you're thinking about pushing feet. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. All right, what did you do? What did you naturally do? Or what did you give a try? I couldn't tell you what I did either. I think I did a combination of all of those things. I did notice that when I was doing waving hands in clouds, if I'm waving this way, this is the leg that's pushed into the floor. So this leg pushes when I go this way. And then when I go the other way, this leg pushes. So if you try that the opposite, if I try to push this leg and go in that direction, I feel like I'm fighting myself. But if I push this leg and go opposite, it feels like this leg is pushing me to go to that side. You feel the difference? So let's just say it's too much to worry about pushing weight, at the same time as a weight transfer or pulsing throughout. What if you just practice the waving hands in clouds movement with weight transfer? Y'all know I always talk about pulling out waving hands in clouds because here we're practicing so many of our principles at once, specifically weight transfer as we Tai Chi walk to the side. But then there's just that smooth circular, I know it's not circular, it's oval or elliptical, going side to side that's so relaxing. But you could practice just your wave side to side with pushing the leg into the floor. So like I said, this foot pushes when I wave this way. Let it go. Switch my hands. Now push this one as I go this way. Then let it go. Switch my hands. Push this one as I go this way. So we're just practicing waving hands in clouds with pushing weight into the floor. So I like to give y'all some options when it comes to practicing Tai Chi because you never know what's going to come up. You can have good days, bad days. You may be stuck in a chair for some reason. You may be in an enclosed space. When I take the training, they like to use the example of being on an airplane and being able to do Tai Chi on the airplane. Staying within your frame and using just your space. Just to say, that's how we stay in our frame. We could actually do it from a seated position with not very much room at all. I'm not fixing to fly anywhere, but that is a good translation to think about how little movement we have. In terms of doing our Tai Chi moves, standing with a chair, it is a little more complicated because heavy on the arm movement. So we're not really going to be able to hold on to our chair while we do the Tai Chi series of movements like we can when we're seated. But when you're standing, you can rely on this chair and practice weight transfer to build strength in your legs. I'm not even lifting my legs off or feet off the floor. I'm simply shifting weight, shifting weight. Now you can tap out just like what we do for our hip warm-ups. You know, we can do a lot of movements holding onto our chair. Now I want to point out that this chair is a little bit low for me to rely on. I wish it were about right here where my elbows were still a little bit bent to rely on it. Here is not as stable because my arms are more straight than if the back of the chair was up here. So sometimes we can't help what chair we have in doing seated Tai Chi. So sometimes we got to use what we have. And so that chair may not be the best option for that. But look, this table, it may be a little bit better to shift weight. That's not a good section. This section of the table goes back at an angle. So this one is straight. It may be a little bit better for me to practice weight transfer. So kind of explore your house and what you have and what you may need for that reason. I would never want to use this chair unless there was a way to lock the wheels. But look how nice and high this back is. That would be a good one to be able to rely on as I shift weights to my leg if it didn't have wheels. But wheels is going to make it be pushed away from me. So any questions about Tai Chi with assistance is, I guess, what it, not just seated Tai Chi, but practicing principles and movements that are going to help us in a different way than just our regular Tai Chi. Do you have any questions?
So what can we do if we ride in like a long distance
If you're riding in a long distance?
in a car and maybe you kind of a little bit crowded because you can't stretch your legs out?
Yeah. The best advice is to take breaks whenever you are riding, so that you don't get stiff from sitting down for too long. And I'm as guilty as anybody about just wanting to get there. So sometimes I'll make myself suffer in order to get there faster. But the best thing you can do is to take breaks, especially if it's been an hour. I mean, even my car will tell me, like, your car's been on for an hour and you haven't taken a break. You might want to stop and take a break. It doesn't say all of that. I'm making it smarter than it actually is. But it does tell me that because it wants me to take a break and move my legs and move my hips. So, I mean, there's, other than just getting out and actually moving yourself, there's not a whole lot you can do from a seated position to stretch your hips, which to me, that's what gets so tight is my hips. If you are in a bigger vehicle and your chair is big, to be able to do a movement such as this that really does stretch your hip flexor, that helps with the mobility of your hip. But I don't think I could move like this in the seat of my car. But lifting those knees and extending that leg. I mean, there's just not a whole lot you can do in a car. You're limited on space and movement of your hips for hip stiffness. Now, upper body stuff, you have a little bit more, control over. Even your knees, you have a little bit control over. If you have foot room, you can do your ankle movements where you rotate your ankles left and right and in a circle, heel toe in the air. And that can help with your ankles. But those hips, man, they just get tight from sitting down. They say now that seated is the new smoking, or sitting is the new smoking. And how smoking is such a health risk for us, so is sitting. And so people who have desk jobs that sit down all day long every day, it can affect your health. So do your best. I even have on my Fitbit at 10:50, if I haven't walked a certain number of steps in that hour, it'll buzz and it'll say, you got to move some more. I think it's 250 steps. If this thing goes off at 10 minutes until the hour, it tells me, hey, you didn't walk enough this hour, get up and move. So I have these devices that kind of encourage me to, hey, remember, because time will get away from you so easily. So set yourself a timer. Have yourself a Fitbit that reminds you when you need to take a break and get up, stretch your legs, and walk. That's a really long answer that didn't really 100% give you an option for when you're in a car. The best answer is you got to stop that car and get out and move a little bit, even if it's just a short stop. What you could do is drink plenty of water, which would be helpful for you. Then it makes you have to stop because your bladder's full. How about that? Will that work? All right, let's do it one more time. Let's go all the way through. It's 10:55, which I knew today would be a little bit different to do what y'all needed me to do, answer any questions. But let's go through part 1, basic 6 and advanced 6, and then we'll cool down. All right. And commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Advanced 6, starting with brush knee. Play the lute. Harry punch. Block and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the lute. Harry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. and close. So that is our part 1 movements. Any final questions or anything? Give ourselves a nice fist massage.
Did you take our picture?
Oh yes, thank you for reminding me. Hold on, let me set it up. How do I change? Love technology. I want to change the view. Hold on, remove spotlight. Blur my background. Spotlight for everyone. I love technology. I love technology. Show captions. How do I make it to where we're all in the same picture? Video. Video effects. Appearance. I'm trying to make this more complicated than what it should be. Y'all know how to do that? Oh, here's the little box. This is what I'm wanting. That! Huh?
Said I got all 5 of them.
All 5 of them. Now we're all... Alright, y'all ready?
Ready.
1, 2, 3. Yay! Let me make sure it came out. Yeah, it did. This is great. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me, Miss Iris.
Okay.
I already have 2 new people that are, I don't know if they're from Baxley, but 2 new people that have signed up to start in August. Miss Barbara said she's for sure going to start in August. If y'all are interested, go ahead and tell Miss Sam and get yourself on the list. And if you have a preference of this morning class or the afternoon class, because, you know, if a bunch of people sign up, they may close the class and cap it at 10. So if you're really tied to a certain time, go ahead and let her know. Sharita, you let me know. Gather and release. Gather and release. Big shoulder circle. See, this movement must be important because we do it in the beginning and in the end. And then we make our fist. That represents our strength. I'm going to put myself back in the big picture. Our left fingers all together, that represents our friendship. Our thumb in, our humility, our willingness to learn and be open to the fact that we don't know everything. We put those together in mutual respect. We say, Namaste.
Namaste.
So y'all know, just because this is our last class, that doesn't mean you don't have access to me. I still work. I still have a job. I still have the same email, the same phone number. If y'all need me, just call me. Just let me know what I can do for you in the meantime. Okay? So if you have any questions, I encourage you to get on YouTube. If you have any problems with that, let me know. Any way I can help support you staying active with Tai Chi, I'm here for you. If you need something else, I can try to help you with something else. So there we go. That's it for this series. We'll start it back up August 11th.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed it.
Enjoy
you
you.
Enjoy too.
Yes, on Friday we're not having class because that's the exploring class that Sharita's in, and that's what she's talking about. Blake and I are going to Jacksonville to a vintage market days or something at fairgrounds. So we'll pick back up next Friday.
Okay, bye.
All right, love y'all.
Love you
Love
too.
you too.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.